Is your brand purpose stopping you from creating great content? This episode is about one of the biggest outdoor brands that solved this problem. Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Radical Content. Super pumped today. You know why we do this show. It is for you Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 social media directors, VPs, or the teams that are below that. Your job is hard, and we want to bring 20 years of knowledge and just things that we're learning to you guys to hopefully help you do your job better so you can take this back, inspire people, and continue to help you do what our mission is, which is to inspire brands to connect first and build raving fans. That's what we're here for. That's what we're doing. And that's what we're doing in today's show. And today's episode, our featured segment, is all going to be about brands to watch. And so we're super, super excited to get into that. We're going to be talking about Patagonia. So more on that in a second. But, I want to talk a little bit about what happened a couple weeks ago. We celebrated our 2 years. I know we talked about it in our last episode, but we had a big party. It was so cool. And there was this story that I shared with someone that Brittany was like, you got to tell that story. If you went back in time to, I guess it was June 29th, 2023, whenever I posted this long article, you can get to that article. We'll put it in the show notes about kind of the story about leaving Universal, the emotion side of it, the faith side of it. It was a whole big thing as I stepped out on my own to start Maverick. And I posted this article and there was tons of comments, lots of interest. And it, I guess, kind of got around LinkedIn that day. It's probably my, most successful post on LinkedIn ever. And then on June 30th, 2023, the next day at 10:53, I open my LinkedIn and I get a message from this gentleman. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk, and it just says, congrats. You can't see it there, but you can see it here. And it was such a cool moment. And of course, everyone right now is saying, oh, that was his team. There's a million people that are managing that account. And maybe it was. But if you know anything about Gary Vee, he's a social media guy. He's got a couple books. His book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, is actually on the desk out there in our front room. He inspired a lot of what I talk about every single day. And so that was such a cool moment. And I know a friend of mine, Eric, who is the CEO of a company called Rival out in the UK. He used to work hand in hand with Gary. And so I asked him, I was talking to Eric, and I was like, hey, man, this happened. It was so cool. I was like, but was this really Gary? I'm sure it wasn't Gary. And Eric was like, why would his team of people need to reach out to some guy that just launched his own company that's like nothing? And I was like, yeah, good point. He goes, well, did you respond to him? And I was like, yeah. I said, I'll kind of read it. I said, hey, man, thanks. I have no freaking idea how my launch got to you, but I'm pumped. Jab Jab was a big part of my beginning and a big push to leave corporate. If you ever have 5 minutes, I'd love to chat and talk about it. But thanks for the note. Keep going strong, creating, inspiring. I'll do the same. Also, let's see a Cowboys-Jets Super Bowl in the future. Damn it. Thanks, bud. Eric Gray. He's a Jets fan. I'm a Cowboys fan. And so I told Eric that I posted this back there. I commented back to him. And Eric was like, what did he say? And I go, he said nothing. He goes, oh, yeah, that was Gary. So the fact that Gary's out there like looking at entrepreneurs that are just starting and get going and kind of being a push for them, even to just one word, was super cool. And so that's where we're starting this week. But let's get to it. We got a big episode. Brands to watch. Let's talk about Patagonia. All right, welcome into Brands to Watch. This segment is all about doing spotlights on really great brands that are doing cool stuff. For many, many years, I've used these types of things to inspire me, to teach me, to learn new things. And this brand is one I've watched forever. I should have been wearing my Patagonia, although I'm sure I would have been sweating. But we're talking about Patagonia today. Who in the room has a Patagonia? Ever worn a Patagonia? Britt, no? John, yeah, he spent some time on the West Coast for sure. So John has, I have. Super warm, super quality. If I asked you, the audience, what does Patagonia stand for? I bet you'd get pretty close. I bet you'd have an idea that they stand for the outdoors. I bet you'd have an idea that they stand for the environment and for people. And so in today's Brand to Watch, we're going to talk about the importance of brand purpose and how that comes to life in content, right? We're here to talk about content and storytelling, But man, you got to go all the way up to the top of the brand to really understand who are you and what do you stand for. So I recently just opened up this book and I've read it a few times. It's called Let My People Go Surfing by Yvon Chouinard. And yes, I had to Google how to pronounce that. But he is a rock climber, an activist, but he's mostly well known for being the founder of Patagonia. And he has this whole book that it's kind of like a love letter / training manual for what it means to be a person that works at Patagonia. And it says the education of a reluctant businessman. I mean, I named my company Maverick. Like this guy, like I can't even begin to scratch the surface of who this guy is as a maverick in his business. And so he went through all sorts of stuff, our history. He went through kind of the product of design philosophy. And he had this little short segment about marketing. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to dive into this. So I wanted to bring you a few excerpts today and talk about how Patagonia thinks about marketing and how it comes to life in content. This actually kind of got started in an off-air conversation earlier this week between me and Brittany and Alex. And I was like getting chills. I was standing up and I was excited and we were just kind of having a pre-show meeting. And they're like, yes, you should talk about this. So here we go. A couple excerpts from this section that says marketing philosophy. It says, our branding efforts are simple. Tell people who we are. We don't have to create a fictional character like the Marlboro Man or a fake responsible caring campaign like Chevron's We Agree advertising. Boy, just throwing shade out of the gate at some big brands. Writing fiction is so much more difficult than nonfiction. I mean, what he's trying to say right there and kind of calling people out is, who are you and what do you stand for? And that should be the story that you tell. Man, how many times do brands try to create a narrative that's not real? You know, there are people right now that sit inside brands that are watching this and they're like, yeah, that's us. Like, that's us. Like we've got some words on a wall. We talk about it in a conference room, but it means nothing, or it's empty, or it's something different to every person. And so it's hard to really capture who the brand wants to be because they don't know who they are. And they're trying to rally hundreds of people. I can get fired up about this because I've lived it. And man, there's nothing hard than trying to express a brand that doesn't really know who they are, but they do. So he goes on to say, part of Patagonia's authenticity lies in not being concerned about having an image in the first place. That is the most baller sentence ever, right? When everybody out in marketing and advertising, they're like, how do we position ourselves? How do we differentiate ourselves? What's the right word? And they spend hours and hours talking about this word or that word. Well, it's not this, it's more that. I've been in these meetings and they're mind-numbing. And the real problem is it's not that you're in a search for a word. It's that you're in a search for who you are and what do you stand for as a brand. And man, there's so many new brands that are doing this so well. They start with it. We haven't solved it, but we know who we are. I talk about it, Brittany, every week. Our mission is to inspire brands to connect first, to stop doing the transactional messaging and to actually put emotional storytelling at the forefront. So how do we connect first and build raving fans? That's who we are. That's what we want to do. And Patagonia has done an amazing job of trying to kind of figure that out. Our image, this is what he says, is a direct reflection of who we are and what we believe. The funny thing about all that is, doesn't that just sound normal? Doesn't that just sound like what it should all be? But I mean, literally, I remember in multiple discussions at brands that I've been a part of where there was so much comparison. They're looking at the brand next to them. Usually it's the one in front of them. And they're saying they don't want to copy them. They're saying they want to be a challenger, but they're just not brave enough to do it. And when there is no differentiation, when you can't find a way to figure out who you are and what do you stand for, and I know I'm being a little redundant on that, but man, I've been a part of these conversations where we're literally trying to write the purpose message for our overall business, and we're struggling. And I'm looking around and I'm going, why is this so hard? Can we go back to our history? Well, no, our history is a little bit different. Okay, but where do we go back to say where our DNA begins and the value that we bring to? You know, the thing I used to say about Universal, and this was never it, but this is how I would describe their purpose. I would sit at the entrance to Diagon Alley, and I would watch a family or a fan of the Potter franchise walk into Diagon Alley for the first time. They'd turn the corner. Their eyes would look up at the dragon. Their jaw would drop, and many times they would start to cry. They were such a fan of the books of Potter, that they had this emotional reaction because we transported them from their everyday life into the greatest stories ever told. And I was like, that's who we are. I didn't end up on a document on a wall, but like that is who we are. They were and they are today, and they're still doing that in Epic, by the way. But I always loved this exercise, and it's so important. And so I hope that this book that Yvonne Chouinard wrote, it inspires me, and it's still inspiring others. But I want to kind of take a right turn a little bit and say, okay, so what does that mean? How were they living that out? Because that's really what this segment is about, is how are they trying to find ways to take that and live it out? And we're going to jump over to YouTube. We'll pop up their channel here. They got 615,000 subscribers, which you might say is nothing compared to big kind of creators. But I challenge, that's hard to build up that many subscribers for a brand, a logo. And what they've done is they have created passion and fandom. They have created such deep emotional connections. And sure, is it about their products? Yes. Is it about their service? 100%. Is it about their purpose? You better believe it, because they stand for things that people align themselves with. I had a conversation with someone a few weeks ago that does brand attachment study. And what she told me was these people that are such fans of these individual brands, it becomes a part of their identity. They defend it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that is who Patagonia is. And people wear their Patagonia kind of equipment proudly. But again, back into YouTube. So what do they do to live that out? Well, they've invested in content and storytelling. They have a whole group that's called Patagonia Films. And so if you go on, a couple things I want to talk about. The first one is they've got this whole documentary series called Worn Wear, Stories We Wear. How cool is that? Stories we wear. What does that mean to you? Like, to me, it means there's so much life that's being lived in the stuff that we put on every single day. And they remember those moments. Now, for them, it's about hiking and bicycling and climbing and camping, because that is who they are. That is the world that they live. And they'll literally, in this episode, they'll talk to individuals. They'll be like, I had this jacket on this summit, on this mountain, on this hike, on this. And they were so cool. And man, I'm telling you, these are not just your average little social spotlights. These are high quality documentary stories that they're putting a lot of money into. And I'd ask you, like, how do you tell those stories? They're really, you know what they are? They're freaking customer stories. That's it. They're customer stories. But they've decided to do it in a way that expresses the spirit and the intent of their brand and of their purpose. And so they've decided to invest in it. So I'd love to play a little clip here of Worn Wear.
My name is Brooklyn Bell. I am from Bellingham, Washington, and I am a professional athlete and artist.
I know this isn't content of the week, and we're going to get to it. This is like the super content of the week. But how good is that storytelling? How good is that cinematography? How good is that audio design, mastering, like the coloring? Like it sucks you into the story, and you want to know more. Like they have so many of these, so many documentaries that you've got to check out. So go to their YouTube and dive deep. But you can even go into some of their shorts, and they're trying to find a way to bring this to life. And sure, yes, they've got some product stuff, but even their product stuff is done differently. But I loved this short that I saw. It was the day in the life. It was like a family on a mountain biking experience. And guess what? Did they zoom in and show the logo? No. Did they have a pop-up that tells you this one's $99 and on sale? No, because they got a bigger goal. Their bigger goal is building their brand and emotionally connecting with you. And they believe that if we invest in this, the long-term return of the lifetime value of you knowing, liking, and loving us is worth way more than you seeing that this is on sale for $99. So go to the store right now. Let's take a look at this little quick day in the life.
Let's go! Oh, it's always the hardest part of the ride. You ready, Remy? Middle Derby, is this your favorite? Here we go.
That was a bad one.
I mean, how good was that? Like, that shot's not going to go viral. I get it. But that's not their business goal. We read what their business goal is, to express the image of who they are at their core. And so I've got the top 4 things that I take away from Patagonia's content strategy. So here we go. They know their purpose and they live it out. man, I mean, through and through. This is not something they kind of live out. It is their backbone, their DNA. They express it in everything they do. Number 2, they invest in storytelling. They don't kind of do it. They don't have a team of like 2 people and they're like, go be viral, go be the best on YouTube. Good luck. They invest millions of dollars and large teams and large, creative partners to bring these stories to life. They've got some of the best shooters and cinematographers that are going out to these, mountainous areas to tell the stories of these people that, also happen to be fans of Patagonia. So they invest. They put their money where their mouth is. When they say they want to build their brand, that's what they do. They tell very human stories. Like, go through and watch what they're doing. They're very human-centric. And we don't talk about this a lot, but in the world of like AI is coming for content, this they can't come for. They can't come for someone that wants to express the personality and texture of their customers in a really great way. And the last one, and I love this, they are unapologetically them. They care very little about what you think they should be. There's one more quote that he put in here in the marketing area that I wanted to read. This means that what we do in marketing will likely offend and it will also inspire. What that means is they're like, we're not for everybody. And how many brands need to know that? Don't try to be for everybody. They're saying we're not for everybody, but for the few we're for, they are going to love us and go very, very deep with us. So Patagonia, good on you. Keep creating awesome content. Keep living out your purpose. I've wanted to do this segment for a long time. That was a fun brands to watch. Let's head into content of the week. All right, back here for content of the week. We got 2 really good ideas, but the thing that I love the most is Brittany's back with us. Hey, Britt.
What up?
Are you excited to get into today's content of the week?
Yeah.
All right, I think you got one. I got one. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's start with Heinz mustard.
We talked about Heinz before.
Yeah.
We love Heinz.
Yeah, like honestly, if you guys aren't subscribed to Content of the Week, if you're not subscribed to Radical Content newsletter, do it today.
Here you go.
Links down below, right? Links down below or in the show notes. I don't even know how to click on show notes. Who looks at show notes anymore?
Everybody.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know. But anyways, it's down in the YouTube description. And also, subscribe to our YouTube channel too.
Wow, this is a long PSA
I'm just
here.
letting you know. Boop, boop. All right, mustard. Heinz.
Her job is not dependent on if this channel grows.
That's true. Okay, well, thanks. Moving on. So Heinz, man, they've actually been killing it over the last couple of weeks. We've been talking about them in our Content of the Week newsletter. And for this particular one, they just released their new honey mustard in collaboration with Mustard, the producer, which is a big deal.
Oh, wait, hold on. There's a music producer named Mustard.
Yes.
Right? This is what she told me this beforehand. He's well known for lots of things, but this call out specifically is known for what song?
They Not Like Us.
Obviously a song that's on repeat
Yes.
on all of my playlists.
Yeah, because I'm
so hip.
Listening to all of it, guys. All the things. Well, obviously Kendrick Lamar was just on the Super Bowl, so you like sports. There's some connection.
There you go. That's good.
For you. But yes, they just released their new Chipotle honey mustard, and it just got released. There's a whole website. They're releasing all this content about it. They're spelling it on everything. It's so cool.
You want to play
and
that little
relevant.
clip?
Yeah, let's play it. So guys, what do you guys think about that? What did you think about it?
What did I think about that? First off, I mean, once you explained it to me, I thought this is awesome. Here's the thing that I think is really cool about it is, so many people are like chasing trends. Like this happened, let's like jump on that. This isn't like, this song didn't just get released, right? But I think it was even kind of said in the website somewhere that it's like, this is the thing the internet's been asking for, is like from that moment in that song, why is Heinz not attaching to it? Now we are. And look, sometimes it takes a long time to get these partnerships out the door. But the fact that they didn't let that stop them and they still moved forward with it, I just thought that was so cool. And then I love this on Twitter right below where the video played, someone posted, God, I love the internet sometimes. That's everyone. That's everyone's feel, right? When you go into the comments, people have been saying this forever. How is Heinz not doing this? And to know that they finally did it, and they did it like on a big level. Like he's creating custom mustards. That's the whole thing here, guys. Like you go to the website, you see him like testing stuff out. This one's called, I think, Chipotle Honey. And so, yeah, a way to be relevant mustard.
Yeah, man. And also, if you're a team, if you're a big brand, definitely fight to get it done. Fight to get it out. Don't give up. You can make it happen.
So, little shout out, my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, Otsko, just had her comedy special come out on Hulu, which was super cool. And she made a joke about Duolingo. And I know Sarah Whittle, who's now at Duolingo, and I texted her. I was like, hey, you got to check this out. Like, there might be some, like, brand tie-in. So just always be on the lookout, right, for your brand tie-ins. And I know it doesn't work for everybody, but when it does, and you don't have to do it right then. They did this, a year later. So take the time and do it big. They did it big. Good job, Heinz. So the next one is from me. And this is kind of a bit of a throwback. So it's been a little bit now from this getting published. But the big advertising award show was out in France. And my LinkedIn feed was full of, I think I saw someone say, full of agencies spending brand dollars to party in France, which is funny and true. But they have a ton of awards. To be honest, I don't know all the advertising award shows. I like to say that I'm a brand guy who owns an agency. I'm not an agency guy. So I don't really kind of get the whole world, but I know it's a big deal. And the pictures look beautiful. They give out tons of awards. Well, one of the awards that they gave out was the Lion for Change. And the purpose for this is for brands that are tackling gender equality, prejudice, or other forms of diversity and inclusion. But this is an award that's like, it's like, decades in the making. It's not like you did one video last year. This is more like a lifetime achievement award for advertising in this one specific genre. And I was kind of looking at like, who's winning out there? What is it? Is there something interesting to talk about? And the winner of this award was Dove. And I think there's something interesting to talk about. And to be honest, I'm actually interested. Let's see if John or Steven know this. Do you guys know of the Dove Evolution spot? You ever heard of that? It's 18 years ago. Yeah. What about the Dove sketches? Does that ring a bell? Yeah, that was 12 years ago. So 18 years ago is 12 years ago. There were two videos that Dove did really to kind of, put body positivity kind of at the forefront, but really it was about self-esteem in women. And so the Evolution video was really, really cool, but it was about kind of showing how a model is completely altered before they go live on a billboard, and kind of them saying we need to change the world because we're in essence teaching people this is what beauty looks like. So they kind of called themselves out and called the whole industry out. It was a big deal. But the sketches video was the one that was like the first, I think, brand viral moment. And I'd want to play a little bit of a clip of it, but to give you a setup, because we don't have time to watch the whole thing, they had women describe themselves, how they think of themselves. They had a forensic FBI sketch artist come in and draw them off of what they say. And then they would meet a stranger, and then the stranger would describe this person. And then the sketch artist would do a second sketch of this individual. And at the end, the people had to come in and look at the sketch for how they describe themselves and the sketch for how people describe themselves. I want to play a quick little clip.
I have this whole thing about having dark circles and crow's feet around my eyes, and that was not part of the sketch at all that the stranger did. The stranger's was a little more like gentle.
Brett, I know you remember this, and we talked about this beforehand, but they aren't getting these awards for these videos. These videos won awards, but they're getting it, and this was kind of the spark. And to be honest, I thought it might be cool to bring it back because I'm sure there are many people that have never seen it. I mean, it's a long time ago. But man, talk about this episode, right? Talking about, we talked about Patagonia and standing for something, and now to go right into Dove. I don't know. I mean, you're a lady, you're a woman, you saw these things. What did you think of these when you first saw them? And as Dove kind of gets this, I should say Doug and Ogilvy UK. So the agency out of UK was a big part of this. So I want to make sure to give them credit as well. I
think it just really taps into what we were talking about, which is the connection strategy. Really fully, they didn't say they didn't talk about soap at all, right? They didn't talk about soap. They didn't talk about being clean. They didn't do the lading with the soap and the shoulder. They just showed what Dove and how Dove should make you feel. And they want their clients and customers and audience to feel confident. And they didn't say you should feel confident. They actually pointed out and said, you're not, and it's because we're doing something wrong, and now we're gonna change it. And I think, connection is emotional connection with the brand really makes you and I've used Dove forever now, and it's really big for women now, especially since so many products have come out. A lot of people are actually going back to Dove, and I wonder if it's because we're like, let's go back to the basics. And they sent me this message, it was 12 years ago, so I was in my teens. You know what I mean? So I think it's just made a big impact on all of us, and we didn't even notice.
Yeah, I remember the ad, Run Like a Girl.
I was just
remember that.
Bring that up.
That was a good one too.
Who was that? Was that Dove or was that Nike?
I don't remember. Actually, I pulled it up here.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to figure out who it was, but
I think I wrote a whole blog post about that back in the day.
But if you haven't checked it out, Run Like a Girl. Someone can put in the comments, who the brand was. We'll find it. But it's the goal of this segment is to talk about people that are doing cool things, and for this one, Dove wins an award for something they've been. And by the way, we could highlight dozens of things they've done over the past 12 years. This is not something they did one time. It literally actually started a movement for them in kind of how they position themselves in their brand. And look, as a father who's raising an 11-year-old daughter, these things make a difference, and these things matter in how women are perceived, how women show up. I tell my daughter all the time, or I describe my daughter all the time, is the girl that digs holes and climbs trees.
Yeah.
And if you asked her to wear a dress or to have a Barbie doll, she'd be like, not me. And look, there's nothing wrong with Barbie dolls, and there's nothing wrong with dresses. But just the fact that brands are standing in the gap to try to tell women you can be who you want to be, whatever that is. It was cool then, it's cool now, and it's fun to do a little throwback in content of the week. So that got a little serious, but it was fun, good time.
It was always.
Yeah. Oh, it was always.
It was always,
It was always.
So I'll link that down below for you guys.
All right, that was a fun episode. Britt, thanks for joining me. That was a good time. Episode 26 in the books. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. We'll be back with more. Make sure you do the thing that I always tell you to do. Everybody says to comment and like, and I say, do that second. First thing you do, send this to your team. Send this to your leader. Let them know this is available, because that's who this is for. The Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 people that are in those seats trying to do social. It's not an easy job, but it's a fun job. And I'm sure you wouldn't want it any other way. I loved it. I still love it. And so appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. We'll be back soon. See you guys.